Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Hi family, I'm Sam, I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, Sam.
Be sitting back there all comfortable, counting like, here we go. Hi. Wow. What a trip. You know what? This is so funny. I think it's the ultimate sellout when a biker actually has a business card. I just want to tell you that right now. Something ain't right, you guys. So I want to thank the committee and Kathy. Where's Kathy? Hi, Kath. Thanks for having me. And Dale and his beautiful wife, Jane. Where's Janie?
Way over there.
What's up? Why are you way in the back? You're so humble. Stay away from Dale. My fucking hero. And who else? I want to thank Callan, because Jeff C., because I don't think I'd be here if it weren't for him. He was here last year, so I'm doing sloppy seconds, but you guys will just have to hang with me. And all the people, man, Jay, all the people I've met so far just being here. And Raymond, you guys know Raymond from Torrance? Raymond said that I was allowed to use everyday language, because that's what the big book says, that it's best to use everyday language. So, Joe, I met Joe, this young lady in the back. Joe, there might be some profanity coming down. I can't promise it, but if I'm the same woman I was when I woke up, there might be a couple F-bombs here and there. And my sponsor will hear this later, but anyway. So here's the deal. So my sobriety date this time is September 5th, 1995. I got a sponsor, she's got a sponsor, she's got a sponsor, et cetera, et cetera. My home group in Santa Barbara, California is off center on Sunday mornings. And my home group in, God, I'm shaking. And my home group in Arizona is the Birds of a Feather on Wednesday nights at the Deer Valley Airport, Hangar 23. Where I'm one of the newcomers. I was gonna get coffee, but I was standing in line. I was like, I kept wanting to blame it on the shoes, but it ain't the fucking shoes. So anyway. What now? Let's see, I was reading these things. I love this, because I'm from a home group. See, I'm from this lineage that says, and I always like to say if I had a different sponsor, I'd be wearing something different. But where I come from, you gotta wear a dress to speak, you know? So, you can dress me up, but you still can't really take me anywhere. But anyway, as I open my mouth and it's like, there goes the fucking lady. But anyway, I know the amount I swear is directly related to how scared I am, so, and it's just fun sometimes. Who am I fucking kidding? But I love that, the no chanting, no clapping, solution only. And my reading is so weird, because I thought that said bi couples weekly group. I'd like to go there. But I'm single, so. What else? I don't know. How long do I talk? I can't see. I never thought I'd live to be old enough to wear glasses. Isn't that great? What time do I talk? Till?
40 minutes.
40 minutes? Yeah, okay, whatever. So here's the deal. So I started getting loaded late in life. I was in 4th grade, I was 9. And I like to joke, hey, and there's a guy back there, you, with the suspenders. What's your name again, Howard? Larry. No, seriously, really? Is it Larry? Didn't I speak in Long Beach? And yeah, sorry, it's gonna be the same talk. Anyway. Nothing's changed. Callan's heard it a million times too. Anyway, so I And I always like to joke because it's hard, you know, I probably could have used a drink a lot sooner than that, but it's hard to score at the liquor store with a Partridge Family lunch pail or whatever, so. So here's the deal. I don't know, you know, try to keep up. It's gonna be a little weird here. Try to keep up. Look, you guys are looking up there at the, isn't that funny? That's so cool. I wonder how I look. It's great. So anywho, so I was adopted. I'm the youngest of 4. I'm the only one that was adopted. They wanted to adopt 3 kids and have 3 kids, but after me, they said, that's enough. That was like the joke at the family cocktail parties. After Samantha, we said, that's enough. And I thought that was kind of cool until I thought, that's kind of, I think I resent that. So I don't know. But, so I'm the youngest of 4, and I'm the only one that's adopted, and I got a couple things here. None of this makes me an alcoholic. I thought it did, but none of it makes me an alcoholic, that I was adopted, because I came to AA and I find 1,000 people who felt like I did, which was they don't belong and they're not good enough and blah, blah, and she wouldn't have given me up if she loved me and all that shit. And half the people I ran into are like, I think I was adopted, you know what I mean? I don't know, I just, you know. So, but I have these distinct memories early on. And one of them, when I was 5 years old, I went over to this girlfriend's house. Now, let me give you these 2 stories, 2 realities here. Up until the time I was 5 years old, this is the story I was told. We were so excited to get you. We waited and waited and waited, and when you were born and it was our time to go pick you up, everybody took the day off school, and everybody took the day off work, and everybody got dressed up in their Sunday best, and we went down to get you. And so I was like singing the Big Bird song, you know, me, wonderful me. And then, for those of you who have kids, you know that song. I don't have kids, but anyways, I love that song. Anyway, I digress. Now, at 5 years old, I go over to a friend's house for a play date, you know, and I don't know how the conversation came up, doesn't matter. But what I remember is her mother looking down at me and saying, oh, you were adopted. Oh, how sad. What a fucking bitch, huh? So anyway, she's been a ton of 4 steps. But anyway, the point is I got these 2 stories. Now, I don't know which one you can choose at 5 years old, but I'll tell you what, the latter story has happened to me a lot more than the former, okay? I don't know what that's all about or whatever, but that was something that stuck with me for a long time. Anyways, I had the opportunity at 9 years old to smoke some pot with with a girlfriend who had older brothers who sold pot. And I want to let you know that this is a singleness of purpose, you know what I mean? And I want to welcome all the alcoholics and the addict alcoholics, the alcoholic addicts, the fucking tweakers, stoners, and the dope fiends. I want to welcome you all to Alcoholics Anonymous. And hopefully you have a sponsor that'll teach you the traditions and about singleness of purpose and why it is that we come to an AA meeting and we say we're an alcoholic. You know, essentially, I went to the dope man, and if he said, say your howdy doody and turn around 3 times, I'd be like, howdy doody, woot, woot, woot. You know, who fucking cares? Whatever I need to get my dope, that's what I say. So when they came, you know, you gotta say you're an alcoholic, because I don't think I don't know if I was an alcoholic. I put gin in a syringe and stuck it in my arm. You know what I mean? So I don't really know what program I belong to. But this one seems to do just fine. You tell people that, and they're like, well, why don't you just drink it out of a glass? And I'm all, well, because I had a perfectly good syringe. You know what I mean? It's like, you don't get that? People like that say really weird things like, you keep drinking like that and you're gonna die. You know? And you're like, when? You know what I mean? The fuck, you kidding me? I've been trying to kill myself for years. I do not, it's like, it ain't happening. And that's my biggest fear when people go, I don't wanna go out, I might die. I'm like, I ain't going out, I won't. I will not die. I'm like the ever-ready bunny. I'll keep going. I'll take out a family of 4. I'll be a total quadriplegic with like a drool cup and every single mental faculty working just fine. I'll be like, this is fucked. You know what I mean? But that's me for sure. But I could be wrong. That's always my attempt at humility. Like, the sun sets in the west, but I could be wrong. I tell the women I sponsor, I fucking know, da-da-da-da-da. But I could be wrong. Just to like throw a little humility in there, try to get it balanced. Did I tell you I was gonna get a coffee, but I was so nervous, I already told you that. You want to kick in soon, whatever you want to kick in. He's like, I am kicking it. Shut the fuck up. Keep doing it. You have those conversations with God, don't you, sometimes? You know? Anyway, whatever. Okay. So where was I? I don't know. So I smoked some pot. Here's the deal. I go over there. I'm 9 years old. And I watch her older brother load this big, gorgeous bong. I mean, I'm like 9, so it probably wasn't this big, but it looked this big. And it was glass, and it had all these butterflies on it, and flowers and colors and what have you. I watched him load that herb in there, and for those purists out there, it's a biker's meeting, who am I kidding? But anyways, if there's any purists, I'll draw you a diagram of what a bong is later, but try to, you know. I don't really give a shit about offending anybody, because at this point, I figure if I offend you, then I'm allowing you to increase your spiritual condition, write a couple 4 steps, and we're good. So 4 steps for everyone. So anyway, and he just loads that thing and, you know, lights it and just, you know, just clears that chamber, and I was in. I hadn't had any, and I was like, wow, I can't wait. And I smoked some pot that day, fell off their roof, had a lot of almond roca candy, and I couldn't wait to do it again. And that's what I remember about my first drink, which came disguised as skunk bud. So anyway, and it was pretty much downhill from there. I don't know what to tell you, you know what I mean? At 17, they put me in my first drug rehab, where I got the message of Alcoholics Anonymous as some 12-step program. I don't know what it was. But anyway, bottom line is the only thing that stuck with me was that I was sick and not bad. And I liked the sound of that, because up until that point, hi Kelly, up until that point, I was convinced I was just evil. And I acted that way. You know, like I say, I obsess, and I'm not kidding you when I say obsessed, one thought exclusive to all others. I obsessed about dropping acid into my mom's coffee and watching her just flip fucking out. And I've talked to other 12-year-old girls, and they don't think that way. They're like, what? Acid? So anyway, hated her. Oh, I'm sorry. The kids and what have you. I don't know what to say about the kids. Well, everyday language, Raymond, right? Okay. So anywho, hated my mom, hated her. God, I hated her. And my dad was kind of an annoying bastard too. But anyway, so I go into this drug rehab, and strangely enough, they want the whole family involved, see? Now, this was 1983. I was like 2, kidding. I was, you know, a lot younger than I am now. But anyways, I'm a teenager, and I go in there, and everyone's got to get sober, essentially. And my parents start going to Al-Anon. Now, in the 80s, Al-Anon, and I love Al-Anon, by the way. I don't know, any Al-Anons right here? Yep. For those of you who resist, you might as well wrap your arms around it, because you're heading there too, fuckers.
That's right.
Just breathe that in for a second. I'm going to Al-Anon. That was almost as nauseating as a God thing. As a God. I still can't say the Lord's Prayer in these rooms, you know, and I'm just like, that doesn't belong, you know, but I'm only 13 and a half, so give me a break. So anyway, hated them. Started getting this message. I'm in and out, you know, whatever. And at 21, I get sober for what I think is going to be the last time. Now, just driving on this putt and sober thing today, there's some memories going down for sure. Because when I was 17 years old, I went to 16 or 17, right before I got sober. I went to see not my first concert, but it was only maybe the second time that I'd shroomed, right? And which, by the way, my biggest problem today, right now, is that my face hurts from smiling so much all day. It's like quality problems. But it reminded me of the shrooming days, of course. Do you want to close our ears again, or okay, we're just gonna plow through, all right. So I take a bunch of mushrooms, and I go to see my favorite band of all time, Second Row Rush. I'd never seen them live, whatever, so I think it's gonna be fine. And I forget what an emotional trip mushrooms are, not to mention sitting in the second row and just like, you know, and they're spitting on me and everything else, and I'm just like, you know, the whole 9 yards. So at some point, and I take them early, and we get out at Long Beach, you know, and the yellow lights, because all yellow lights around the beach, and boy, oh boy, I'm just tripping. Of course, everything's a trip when you're tripping. So, you know, what are you gonna say? That's a trip, you know, whatever. So anyways, we get in there in second row and they start doing their deal and it's coming on hard, man, and it's just hard. And the next thing I know, I'm passed out with the guys in the big yellow event jackets going, this is not a bust. We're taking you to first aid. And I was just like, what? I'm fine. Just snapped right out of it. I'm like, I'm good. But obviously I had passed out. So, I don't know, it was just good times. And we ran by there and I'm like, yeah, the good old days. So anyway, missed half the show, you know, whatever. Anyway, good times. So anyways, I end up staying sober. I end up getting sober at about 20 for what I think is gonna be the last time. I was working down at Marina Del Rey down there at a restaurant where you get these sweet little packages under the ashtray instead of tips and what have you. And I end up going into a woman's recovery home in Pasadena. And I stay sober, and I'm thinking this is gonna be the last time, you know? And they kicked me out at 60 days because I'm so angry, you know, and what the fuck are you doing, angry? Ah, you know, that kind of thing. You wonder why I'm still single. But anyway, you can't hang with this. So anyway, and I stay sober for 6.5 years. I go back there a few years in a row to give them the big, you know, whatever. Stayed sober on hate alone for the first 6 months. It worked, you know what I mean? I'm not recommending it, but hey. So, and then I quit going to meetings. The 5 most infamous words. So just out of curiosity, how many relapsers in the room? Come on, you don't know what it is, raise them up, be proud. Right? So the rest of you are original winners. The original winners. The pussies, as I like to say. Fucking pussies.
Nice cleanup.
Just kidding. Dale, you got here so fucking old, it's like, of course you're not a relapser, bro. Kidding. Relapsers. So here's the deal with relapsing. This program works perfectly. These 12 steps work perfectly. You can't not get sober if you do the steps. You can't. The fuck, you want, is that a text? What, is there a naked picture? What's going on there?
Some shorty for you. Shut up.
Sorry. So, now, lots of people say, oh, that didn't work for me, didn't work for me. Now, I'm not, look, I've only, what do you say? I can't see. Please send my love, Shortimus. Yeah, that guy's cool. That guy's saving my life over in Arizona, I'll tell you, it's a trip. So anyway, where was I? Help me out.
Relapsing.
Oh yeah, relapsing.
12 steps.
Thanks. The recipe. So here's the deal. I'm only 13 and a half, and I know I don't know everything, but I know a couple things about a couple things. And I know this, that recipe works perfectly. If you don't want to get sober, don't do the steps. Don't do the steps and stay as far away from anybody who's done the steps or looks happy or joyous or free. Just stay the fuck away from them because I swear to God, they'll get you. And it's like the mafia, man. Once you're in, it's a bitch to get out. I've tried to isolate and turn off my phone, and I got bitches like banging on my door and shit. I had one guy just like crawl through my window when he hadn't seen me for days, like, what the fuck, where you at? Oh, like, get out, you know. It's in the middle of the herd, man. It's in the middle of the herd. And the stragglers, you know, just like on the Discovery Channel, Animal Planet, whatever else, when the antelope go from watering hole to watering hole, man, it's the stragglers, it's the smart guys that are like, well, let's wait till they all get done and then we can go cruise and just like drink up all the water we want. And they go over there and they're just picked off, you know, left and right. In the middle of the herd, you want to get picked off sometimes. You're like, I really would like to, shut the fuck up, you know, which is what I thought the first step was for like the first year. Shut the fuck up and get in the car. You know, where are we going? Shut the fuck up. Well, shut the fuck up, newcomer.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's like a recipe for chocolate cake. You know, it's like you love the way my chocolate cake tastes, and I say, hey, I would love to give you the recipe. And so we write it down, you know, cup of this, teaspoon, cup, teaspoon, cup of cocoa, Teaspoon, teaspoon, cup, right? And then like 3 days later, she calls me crying, my cake tastes like shit, you know? And I go, what happened? Did you follow the recipe? Yes. She's all defensive. Yes, I followed the recipe. Are you sure? Everything? Let's go through it together. Cup of this, yes. Teaspoon, cup, yes. Cup of cocoa. And then in the immortal words of the newcomer, oh, well, I was thinking, you know, it's like, shut the, right? My buddy PC up in Santa Barbara says, you know, that's when my compassion sounds like a loaded shotgun. You know, it's just like, shut the fuck up. So, because I'm so compassionate and soft and sweet, I say something like, sweetheart, you know? You know it's a chocolate cake, you know? What did you put in there? She's like, well, I was thinking I would use carob. And I go, well, that's a carob cake, you know? And she'll say something like, but why? And then I have an Al-Anon slip where I'm like, I gotta break down all the scientific properties between carob and chocolate, and I try to explain it, and they shut the fuck up, it's a chocolate cake. You gotta have cocoa in there, right? But why? Why? You know, and that's just like, you know. So, the point I'm trying to make is, if any of you relapsers are wondering, I wonder what happened. Cindy. And I mean this with all the love in my heart because I am one, and I had to do this, I had to check it out, man. What part of the recipe did I not do? Now, in my experience, there's 5 things, or a combination thereof, always the same 5 things. The first one are the 5 most infamous words. I quit going to meetings. That's what I hear the most. And then I hear, I didn't do a 4th, I didn't do a 5th, I didn't do a 9th, and here's the kicker, didn't do 12th. I got bitches 6 years sober, I have nothing to give. You shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like they still think it's about them. You know, and it is in that I don't give a shit if any of my sponsees stay sober. I mean, essentially, especially when I first start, I'm like, I ain't your friend, I don't care. This is purely selfish. And this is where the program gets a little lost sometimes. Selfish, self-centered, the root of our problems. Except when you're talking about like securing your own oxygen mask before helping someone with theirs. It's the ultimate in selfishness, but God damn it if they aren't appreciative when the fucking, you know, plane goes down and you ain't passed out blue in the fucking middle of the thing so that the whole plane goes down. Well, she was being selfless. Shut the fuck up. Do you see what I'm saying? I'm like months away from being a psychotherapist, you know? Can you imagine? This is the Samantha, you know, psychotherapy healing. Shut the fuck up. Goes up. You really need to work on that compassion, Sam. I'm like, that is so fucking compassionate. I'm not, I mean, come on. Shut the fuck up. Let's make a new story. I never knew I could make a new story. I thought my whole story was this. Oh, you're adopted. I didn't know I could come to Alcoholics Anonymous and make a whole new story. You know, that's huge. The problem rests in our mind. It's a mental illness. Sorry if that offends anybody, you know, it's like, well, they can't, you know. They're willing to term themselves problem drinkers, but they can't really stomach the term mental illness. Well, breathe that in. I know. And then you find just the joy in that whole, you know, surrender. But anyway, I digress. So anyways, a chocolate cake, it works perfectly. If you're struggling, if you're one of those people that's struggling, I wonder what happened, just check it, man. And I'll guarantee you, it's one of those 5 things. And if you want to challenge me on that, come on up to me after the meeting, you know what I mean? And we'll have a talk, and I'll tell you about my experience. It's more than my opinion. See, my opinion is based on my experience. So I'll win. You know what I mean? Because it's my experience. It can still be full of shit, but if it rings true with you, then it rings true with you. Just like this program rings true from the very beginning. It was, I gotta have a power greater than the booze. Because for me, see, when I drink tequila, Now, you want to take that away and say, stay sober. Fuck that. You know, I need something that gives me, you know, a sufficient substitute for sliding down the podium. Good luck. And that's why Carl Jung, the most ethical doctor in the world, the only doctor that really looked us in the eye and said, I can't fucking help you. In German, he said it, so I don't know what that is, but. The first guy, you know, really, the first physician before Silkworth that said, I can't help you, folks. Spiritus contra spiritum, Latin. The only thing big enough to kick this spirit's ass is spirit. I was not happy about that, because God never did me any fucking favors. That's what I love about the 12 steps. It's like, who cares to admit complete defeat, right? I mean, the 12 steps is a recipe that, let's be honest, is not very tasty. You know what I mean? Admitting complete defeat. Finding some power greater than yourself, some God that never did you any favors, and then turning your will and your life over to him, which means nothing when you're new. You're like, what? Sure, you know, are you willing to go to anything? Oh yeah, you always say, oh yeah, sure. You have no idea what that means. Wearing a dress, speaking wherever you're supposed to speak, you know, whatever. No matter what you feel like doing, it's like, would you have done it for a drink? That's always my standard of, I don't want to go, man. I don't want to sponsor her. I don't want to do this. And then my sponsor's voice says, well, would you have done it for a drink? You know what I mean? I got sponsors who call me, they're like, I don't know if I can make it to the meeting. And I'll be like, wow, what's up? Well, it's 4 blocks, right? And I don't have a car. Like, you know what I mean? Well, would you have done it for a drink? Oh, hell yes, I would have walked that far for a pack of cigarettes. Shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? I'll see you there. My sponsor doesn't talk to me like that. She's so nice. She's really nice. She's like a lady. Hi, Catherine. But I know I owe $1 for every time you drop an F-bomb. As I said, I just brought a credit card. You know, fuck it. It's like, But anyway. So I quit going to meetings, 6.5 years sober, and I'm at a bar with my husband and a girlfriend. Neither would ever see me drink at the time. And I was always the designated driver, you know, we'd go whatever, go to the bar, shoot some pool, whatever. And I hadn't been to a meeting in about 6 months, and they're drinking, and I'm doing whatever I'm doing, having a Diet Coke or something, and I just reach right over and pick up a half a glass of White Zinfandel. Just drink it down. And see how quiet it is? That's how quiet it was at that table. And it's funny when you tell non-alcoholics you're a recovering alcoholic, because they usually say something like, well, that's terrific. That's really special. That's neat. That's really neat. Good for you, right? They don't get it. They got it that night. So my girlfriend reaches over, you know, and she pats me on the knee, and she's like, well, good for you. That's good for you, right? And this is why I speak, because I don't ever want to forget this moment right here. That from the deepest part of my tummy, right here, behind my sternum, I heard a voice clear as day that said, here we go. And the next thing I remember is me banging on the bar going, I want something to help me drink longer, you know? And the bartender's going, Ixnay on the ethamphetamine, May, you know what I mean? He's like, shh, you're blowing it. And the next 2 years, I was arrested 11 times and put in 5-point restraints and had my bottom teeth knocked out because I'm an alcoholic who slams methamphetamine, which means I'm a very busy alcoholic that gets nothing done. And is very scandalous in the process. The pitiful, incomprehensible demoralization, the 5 cops looking over my naked body in 5-point restraints, and one of them saying, looks like she might have been pretty once. I remember that. And you can't even cover up, you know what I mean? It's just like, and it just snapped me out of that for a second, and you know, what a difference a dentist makes. Fuck him, you know what I mean? What I'm saying? But anyway. So, and I ended up in Atlanta, Georgia, because, like I said, I was busy. I don't know, I had shit to do, you know what I mean? So, and that's how I know I'm an alcoholic. See, it's not how much I drank or what I did. It's that the non-alcoholic drinks, even ties one on, gets drunk. right? 99.9% is gonna sleep in his own bed, get up and go to something called a job in the morning, right? Me, I take a few drinks, not really sure. You know what, could end up in my own bed, could end up in Atlanta, Georgia. You just don't know, and that's the thing. So anyways, I do some damage over there in Atlanta, Georgia, and then in August of '95, after stabbing the man I loved, because he was leaving with the full jar of peanut butter, which is strange because I hadn't eaten since '94, so I don't really know what the big fucking deal was, but everything I judge, I walk through. There's been a ton of these huge, valuable lessons, right? And the value of the lesson is directly proportional to how much you pay for it. Let me say that again. The value of the lesson, how valuable it is directly related to how much you pay for it. So if you pay a high price, must be a huge, valuable lesson. And we got the scar tissue to prove it. You know what I'm saying? I was years and years sober before I realized that God, this entity that I was not very fond of, had actually made us in a way that our scar tissue is stronger than the tissue that we're born with. What the fuck is that? Is that like the most compassionate, brilliant thing you've ever heard of? That blows my mind. So anyway, everything I judge, I walk through. When I was 6.5 years sober, I was a counselor for teenagers, and I had a client who was in a very abusive relationship, and I used to say to her all the time, just leave. You just leave. You know what I mean? You just leave. And did I go over? No. Okay, good. I can't see. And I would be really upset with her. You know, I'd help her move and call the cops and, you know, just leave. And one day I told her something to the effect of, you give my gender a bad name. I know, again, that compassion thing with the therapist, it's good stuff. I really got it going on. But I thought about her when I was getting strangled, because my old man wasn't a hitter, he was a strangler, and he was really good at it. And so he would strangle me to the point of unconsciousness, and I'd wet my pants, I'd mess my pants, a few different things. And then when I would come to, and he would have this remote, amused look on his face or whatever, sometimes he'd look a little nervous, I don't know, it's hard for me to tell. But anyway, I thought to myself, I wish I hadn't said that to Michelle, because now I understand why you can't leave. And so I'm a little more careful today, you know, because I'll tell you what, you can have long-term sobriety if you can survive this fellowship. Because we can be fucking nasty sometimes, you know? You don't shoot your wounded, you know? I still sit next to people in meetings that are offended when we come in drunk. They're offended that people come to an AA meeting fucked up. What? It's like, this is the losers club. You have to burn your life to the ground to get in. We don't even fucking respect you if you're like, you know, if you got a watch and all that shit the old timers say. You know what I mean? You know, and we're doing one of this, like, you know, putting the little eau de fleurie, like, you know, kind of thing. What the fuck? Anywho. So I'm a little more careful today when I say things like, can you believe so-and-so's getting a divorce? I heard so-and-so's fucking a newcomer. I think they took a little bit too much of those antidepressants, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, look, I don't know a lot about a lot, but I know a couple things, you know what I mean? And I told my girl one day when she was sharing it, which she shouldn't have been anyways, about any outside issue at any fucking meeting, but she did, and some chick came up, some lady came up afterwards, gave her a hard time about taking medicine or something, and I said, look, I want you to tell her this next time. You tell that lady, I'm so sorry, I didn't get you a card. And the lady will go like, well, what do you mean you didn't get your card? Well, a card for graduating from medical school. Yeah. Oh, I didn't graduate from medical school. Then shut the fuck up. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't care, and you know, and I told this story at the Pacific group, it went over real well, let me tell you that.
Yeah. Right there.
Clancy comes up to me afterwards, right, and he goes, excellent pitch, almost completely submerged by, what was it, flamboyant bullshit. I go, well, you should know, old man. And he's like, love that guy. I called him one time when I was totally suicidal in my 7th year because my sponsor told me to. So I did. And I go into it a little bit, you know. He goes, you know what, can you hang on one second? Could you write me a letter? Because then, you know, I just can't, you know, I can't really go over it. And motherfucker, you know, I hung up, and it's just like, he probably kept me alive, because I was like, you're goddamn right, I'll write you a letter. You know. So pissed, I couldn't kill myself then. Fucker. And I told that story too. You don't remember. But anyway. So.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think.
So there I am, blood all over me, and my old man's calling the cops, right? And I shouldn't have, I just wanted to rest that day, right? We've been slamming and drinking and this and that. And I was like, let's not, I just had a total Al-Anon thing. I was like, can we just not do it right now? Can we just sleep? Because I'm hearing things and seeing things. And he's just like, nope, give me the fucking needle. Give me the needle, give me the needle. And it's stupid me, I'm like, you know, no, you know, whatever. I need Al-Anon so bad at that point. So anyway, bottom line is he starts packing his shit, you know, he puts that peanut butter in there, and I don't know, it set me off. That full jar of peanut butter was just like, you're not leaving with that. He starts throwing me around like he's wont to do, and that's it. I just pick up and I just think, you know what I mean? And it was a head wound, so it looks so much worse than it is because it was just a little poke, but it's like goosh, 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 you know what I mean? I'm like, wow, what the fuck? And he's on the phone with the cops, goosh, 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 so he was fine. You see what I'm saying? He was like on the phone, goosh. So, and something made it very clear to me that, did I offend you, Andy? Is everything all right? You good?
I've been holding it for a minute.
Okay, go, yeah. Do it, man.
Go for me,
Go. So anywho, something in me said it's time to go. With a woo, you hear the sirens coming, you're like, it's time to go. So I get out of there and I hitchhike to someone's house, I don't know what the hell it was, and I called this woman that had been my sponsor at one time. And she said, wow, I thought you were dead, yada, yada, no, I'm not. She said, come home. I said, okay, I said, I think I'm done, is what I said. I think I'm done. And so the guy that sold me weed drove me all the way across country. And he'd say funny things too, like, why you gotta drink like that? Why don't you just smoke pot? I don't know. You know what I mean? I wish I could, but I don't know. Just doesn't seem to work. Why not? You know? So he drove me home, and at one point while we were driving through Montana or something, wherever we drive on the 10, the last thing I did was I had stolen some Ritalin, which is water soluble, if you want to know, but it is difficult to pull that shit through. You just got to pull, keep pulling and pulling, but you will get it in there. And I'm driving, and he's passed out, and I just slammed that little bit of Ritalin, which was neat. It was neat. It was kind of cool. I don't know. And the last thing I drank was Red Wolf beer. Remember Red Wolf? Not Red Dog, but Red Wolf. Maybe it's a Georgia thing. Anyways, and I remember coming on that 10 into Malibu and seeing that ocean. And it was like, I knew, man, we don't know how long we're gonna stay sober, but I knew it was gonna be over for a while. And they cruised me up to Santa Barbara, up to Casa Serena, and I walked up those stairs, and all I saw was teeth, you know? Hi, 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 welcome, welcome, welcome. Hi. And I was just like, oh. And I love women. I never had that bitch competition thing, anything, whatever. But they were so clean. They were just clean, you know, and their nails were done, and, you know. And the only thing I wore for the first 7 months of my sobriety was Uggs, sweats, flannels. The back of my head was shaved. My 2 bottom teeth were knocked out. I was total vision for you. So I remember walking up those stairs, and the woman who ran the place, she said, well, have you had anything to drink in the last 24 hours? And I'm like, yeah, I drove all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah. Well, you can't stay. Now see, what wanted to come out of my mouth was, are you fucking kidding me? Do you know how far I drove? But what came out of my mouth was, okay, where do I go? She said, well, you can go down to the Salvation Army. It's on so-and-so's. And what wanted to come out of my mouth was, are you fucking kidding me? I'm not going to the Salvation Army. What came out of my mouth was, where is it? And I went down to the Salvation Army. They didn't have a bed for me. Same thing, you know. What came out of my mouth is, okay, you know. And they say, you can go to the Alano Club. And they have meetings there all day. And you can, you know, sit there and check back in with us tonight or whatever, yada, yada. So I walked to the Alano Club, and I walk in there, and someone said, welcome home. And they'd never seen me, you know, whatever, and I got this attitude or whatever, not of gratitude, if you know what I'm saying. And the girls at Casa Serena were there, and they gave me candy. And that's where it started, again. And at 17 days sober, I was allowed to go to a meeting by myself, and I started going to that morning meeting, 6:45 at the Alano Club, and that's just too goddamn early to bullshit, you know what I mean? They don't take it, you know? And I'd go in there angry and whatever, you know, and the old timers there would say, you know what, you're really not that scary. Sit down. And that's why I said I didn't know whether to like kiss them or kill them, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's just, I was had a total meltdown of like, I couldn't get my brain around that, you know what I mean? And that's where it started for me, with that coffee commitment and doing that deal. And at 60 days sober, which is strange, if you'll recall, they kicked me out. Said I was too angry. Some chick came into my room, you know, and they'd thrown my clothes out on, you know, from the dryer or whatever it was onto the garage floor. And yeah, I'm not going to have any of that. So I went out, you know, and we were just toe to toe, you know, nose to nose. There was no blood, no fist fights, nothing. And I'm too angry. What, are you kidding me, you know? And then they gave me a warning. Then a couple weeks later, I crawled over the dining room table at some bitch who had lied to me. 21 women in like 5 minutes sober, and someone had lied to me. I'm the lyingest skank around, but I'm just like, ah, you know, and they just said, Samantha, you know what? It's inappropriate. Which has been written on my report card since I was 5. You know what I mean? It's like, well, she seems bright, a bit talkative, and at times inappropriate. You know what I mean? And I've never been too inappropriate for Alcoholics Anonymous. I've been told to, you know, make amends, you know, get out when you can act right, keep coming back. I've been told all kinds, put the chair down, you know what I mean? A lot of different things. But I've never been told you're too inappropriate. You know what I mean? Where would I go? You know? So that's where it started, and I started couch surfing, you know? So this is the deal for people in a recovery home. I just want to let you know my experience is that the recovery home is not Alcoholics Anonymous. The recovery home is a place you store your shit while you get sober. And the recovery home has rules that apply to me. Like stupid rules, like you gotta wear shoes all the time. Why? And when you get up, you gotta make your bed. Why? And on your 1 to 4, you can't sleep. Why? I hadn't slept since '94. It's like, what, are you kidding me? You know, I can't sleep? No, why? And finally, the director just said, look, Samantha, see, here's the deal. You've come to us for help. See, you've turned your will and your life really over to the care of us. And this is how the us does it. There's no barbed wire. There's no locks on this door. You can leave anytime you want. And at 60 days sober, they showed me that no meant no. And no one had ever done that to me before. Not even my father, who's my hero. Man, you know, when we were growing up, all 3 of the older kids, they knew that no meant no. My oldest brother came to my dad one day and said he'd like to grow his hair long. And my dad didn't even look up from the newspaper. He just said no. And my brother said, why? And my dad looked over the newspaper like he was gonna kill him. And he just said, because I said so. And that was it. That was never the case with me. At 7 years old, I'm in a fucking dueling match verbally with my father, the physician, an orthopedic surgeon, graduated from the Ivy League colleges, and he and I are engaged in verbal warfare. I mean, what the fuck? He's banging, and I'm like, and that's the way it is, you know, and I walk off to my bedroom with my stuffed animals and slam the door, and he's banging on the 7-year-old's door, you know? I'm not done talking, and yes, you are, you know, crazy shit. Now, all this time, my mom and dad had been going to a program called Families Anonymous, because I started to say that in the 80s, Al-Anon was really geared for spouses, and they really didn't want to hear about drugs and alcohol. And Narcotics Anonymous had started a family group called Families Anonymous, and my mom and dad started going 20 years prior to that or whatever it was, and they were black belts. Let me tell you that right now. I remember coming to the door when I was going through Arizona raping and pillaging, and I needed something to eat and a shower. And I came banging on the door at nighttime, and my dad came in his robe and opened the door, and he held up an empty urine sample cup.
Yeah.
He didn't say a word, and I didn't say a word. And I slumped off into the dark. And I know to this day that he got back in bed with my mom, and they wept. They wept. But they were parents. They were more concerned about being parents than they were about being my buddy. They were willing to be assholes, to be perceived as terrible people, because they knew that they, from their program, had to give me enough dignity to live and enough dignity to die. So if you're struggling with a kid, all I can tell you is it saved my life. It was a thing where I had no more collect calls. From jail, they'd hang up, you know? And so when I got here and got clean and sober and started doing the deal and what have you, you know, I started getting good at going to meetings. What are you gonna do? And I started going to school, and I was a year and a half sober, and I went to City College and stood in line and paid the fees, and I figured that's really what, if you wanna go to school, just be good at standing in line and paying fees, and you're good to go. And I got enough credits there, and I got to graduate and go to the big kids' school. And all of a sudden, I'm at UCSB with a few years sober, and I'm doing this thing, and I'm liking it, man, and I'm really digging it, you know? And I graduate from there, and I'm thinking, I'm getting good at going to school. Where else can I hide out? And my old man and my husband at the time said, law school. And I said, okay, let's go to law. What kind of law am I gonna practice? He goes, Avi, criminal. You know what I mean? Duh. So I go to 4 years of law school, and I knock that out, and then I try to take the California State Bar, and I can't fucking pass that thing to save my life, you know? And I realized, man, that I can't live my life the way I'm supposed to live my life to pass that bar. And I'd be study groups and stuff, and I'd be like, you know, this is not the most important thing in my life. I'd say this to my, you know, non-alcoholic, neurotic fucking, you know, law school, and they just looked at me like, you know, it is the most important thing, ah. And I just kept thinking, it's not, you know what I mean? It's just not. And so I struggled with that for a long time, and I got asked to start teaching at a college, Santa Barbara City College up there, and I loved it, man. I loved teaching, and they wanted to get me in the psychology department. They told me, you gotta go back to school. So I went back to school. And so I just wrapped up, just took my oral exams for my master's degree in psychology, and so we passed the oral exams, which is, you know, whatever, I don't know, just. And I've been working at this internship. Here's what's kind of going on right now. About 2 years ago, so let me just tell you too, that my mom and dad and I are tighter than the other kids for sure, because we've been through the war together. And we've spoken on panels and did these split pitches and all this stuff, and my mom still has a sponsor. My mom sponsors people and all this other stuff, and it's a trip. It really is, you know? And about 10 years ago, the dementia started to come on for my pops. Real slow, like. Now this guy, you know, I don't know, I mean, I always think I'm gonna try to end it some other way, because I just don't wanna go into this, Calvin, but it's like, just, you know, but I let God handle the details, man. This is just, this is where it's at. My pops is my hero. Smartest guy I ever met, love him. I connect with him on a soul level, where my mom and I could never really connect on a soul level, but she and I are pretty close. So anyways, the dementia starts coming on, and it's kind of a trip, and it's getting worse and worse. And anyways, so 2 years ago, I thought, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna head out there for a little bit, take care of him. My oldest brother wanted to put him in a home, and my dad's like, now this is how sane he is. He's like, I'm gonna die in my home, and I'm gonna wipe shit on the walls, if I want, in my home. He ain't that fucking demented. Not to mention the fact that every one of my girlfriends that I bring over, he always manages a pinch and a goose. Sorry, I thought you said your dad's demented. Well, She's got a big round hiney. She's got a big round hiney. She's got big boobies. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. Yeah. So anyway, so I go out there and that's it. That's really where my life is at right now. My life really consists of, I clean a lot of shit, literally. And if any of you need your asses wiped, I am your girl. I am the best ass wiper and shit cleaner-upper that you will ever meet. And we'll have fun, and it'll be killer dignity and whatever. So my dad, at this point, everything rhymes, you know? It's Samantha Louise makes love in the trees. Samantha Louise makes love in the trees. And I go, I cannot confirm or deny that, Father, on the grounds it may incriminate me. And he laughs, you know. And then every night when I tuck him in, you know, my mom and dad. So here's the deal. My mom's had a couple strokes. Physically, she's fucked. She's on oxygen full-time, all this stuff. But mentally, she's great. My dad physically is great. Mentally, he's fucked. So together, they make one perfect person. You know what I mean? They've been together 60 years. They still spoon at night. He still pinches her ass. He's fucking gross. Whatever. Every night. So every night, my dad's usually always in bed. But we walk my mom in and everything. She walks in with her little walker and gets in. I get her in her. As soon as she takes off her dress, my dad starts in. Oh, Mama, you got a big round hiney. It's all miney. Big round hiney. Yes, yes. And we go through this whole big round hiney thing. Fucking classic. Oh, Mommy, I love to play with your boobies. I love to play with them. I'm like, la, 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 la. How long we been married, Mama? Well, it was 53 years, and we dated 7 years before that. 53 years, and then he does the whole thing, and then it goes back to, oh, a big round hiney. It's all miney. How long we been married? Yada, 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 da, da, da. Who are you? I'm your daughter, Samantha Louise. Samantha Louise makes love in the trees. And it's just like, oh, you know, so you just play with it. Yep, that's me. Cannot confirm or deny, la, la, la. And I get her in, you know, and she's like, oh, just arthritis up the wazoo, and shove her in there, kind of, you know, and snuggle her in there and get her. She loves the Vicks NyQuil thing, so I call it the snuffleupagus. Where's the snuffleupagus? She's got that stuck up her nose and her oxygen, and my dad's, you know, can I have something to drink? I need something to drink. It's right there, Daddy. That's not cold. Can I have something cold to drink? Okay. You know, are you dirty? And sometimes we'll get through without the shit. And, you know, we get up. I can't get up. You go clean me here. No, I can't clean me here. You got to get up. I can't have you sleep in shit, Daddy. I don't want to get up. And I go, look, if you want to sleep in shit, you can go to a home. He goes, when do we leave? I go, fucker, we're not leaving. Get up. Come on. So we tuck them all in. Everything's clean, what have you. And the dogs are in there and the cat's jumping around and fucking tripping out and everything. And when I was little, I miss these. I miss my dad's mind. But anyway, my dad would give the killer motorboat kisses. Hardcore right there with the whiskers and everything. It was just like, wow, I'd scream and cry from like goosebumps from toes to the head. And so when I get my mom in and I give my mom a kiss, man, this woman I hated all my life, man, and I lay it on there. I just like, mwah. And before I can get my lips off my mom, my dad's like, I want one, you know? And so I run over to the other side of the bed and I give him a kiss, and then I get into the neck and I'm like, you know, and he just howls, man. He just loses it, right? And she's losing it. Everyone's laughing. The dogs are barking. The cat's beating it. And I walk to the door, man, and I shut the door, and I'm like, that's my life. You know, I went to school for 4 years to be an attorney, to make a lot of money, to do whatever it was, you know. I ain't working. I don't make any money. I don't know what I'm doing most of the time. I've never been this old. I've never been this sober. I've never been here before. I have no idea what I'm gonna do when they die. I don't know where I'm gonna go. I don't know. I do not fucking know. And some days it's like, I want out. I want out. God, I fucking want out. I want out. And then this voice just comes and says, no, you don't. There's this little perky bitch cheerleader for life in me that's like, come on, go life, you know, and it's just like, ugh. So like street cred, zip, you know, nothing. And I used to just kick the shit out of her, just be like, shut up, shut up, shut up. And the last couple years about, I'm just wrapping my arms around her, you know? I'm just like, yep, love it, you know? This recipe is not the most tasty thing unless you're starving. Who cares to admit complete defeat? Who wants to turn their will and their life over to the care of God that never did them any favors? Who wants to write a list of their grosser handicaps and then share them with some bitch who's sure gonna, you know, gossip about you at the next meeting? You know what I'm saying? Who wants to get rid, just loose, you know, let go. Just let go and let God, you know, be entirely ready to have God remove all your character defects. Oh, you mean my survival skills? You mean the things that have kept me alive on this wacky fucking planet? Oh, you just take them. Just let go and let God. I never got that. I am a direction follower in this fucking program. But when it comes to let go, let God, I'm like, look, fucker, you tell me how to do it, and I will do it. No one can tell me how to do it. Well, you know, you just let go. No, I don't. I don't know. I don't know. No, I don't know what you mean. And so at 10 years sober, I got this. Loosen the grip. You just loosen the grip. See, it's like, please, God, can you take this from me? God, please, God. And God says, I'd love to help, but I can't get in there. You know what I mean? I made you just the way you are. You know what I mean? I can't get in there. So I go, I've let go of nothing. But I got some light. I got a little space. Got some room to work here. A little bit of, you see what I'm saying? So I'm loosening the grip, right? And then 8 and 9, you know, who wants to stand in front of the judge? I did it, give them their money back, get on the electronic monitoring for 120 days. You know, no, I don't want to do it. And then 10 is classic, you know, not I'm sorry. They don't fucking want I'm sorry. They want I was wrong. Big difference. I was wrong and I'm sorry, right? And the cool thing about 10, really, is that I don't even think you have to be sorry. Fuck it. Because I could say, before I'm ready to apologize, I can say, I was wrong for talking to you like that. You dumb motherfucker. You know what I mean? Or not. Just, I was wrong. 11 for the big kids. Gotta have a coach. Sit quiet for a minute, you know, prayer and meditation. Praying only, if you think this program is like, there's no conditions, it's just for fun and for free, bull fucking shit. Every single page in here, it's like, not until you do this do you get this. Unless you do this, you can't have this. If you're painstaking about this phase, if. You'll be amazed before you're halfway through. If, not until, only if, unless. Work, motherfuckers, work. That's what I'm saying. But it ain't no harder than me trying to get high. That was a full-time job for me. Waking up thinking about it, going to sleep. You don't go to sleep on meth, but you know what I'm saying. It's like, right? And then the kicker, who wants to sacrifice time and energy carrying the message to some other ungrateful broad who's not going to stay sober anyway? No one. The average alcoholic doesn't care for this prospect unless he has to do it in order to stay alive himself. I was 8 years sober before I got alive. I thought it said sober. The average alcoholic doesn't care for this prospect unless he has to do it in order to stay alive. What kind of death are we talking about, I say? You know what I'm saying? Because if it's a quick death, I'm like, hey, quick death, you know? Spiritual life, alcoholic death. Wait, don't rush me. Don't fucking rush me, wait. You gotta weigh it out, right, you know? Icy shark-infested waters, that's the kind of death I'm talking about. At 4 years sober, my sponsor said, pick the worst way to die, and I thought, getting eaten alive by sharks. Because the ship ain't going down in this quiet, warm water, right, in the Mediterranean in the middle of the day, where I'm like, Dale, by all means, you take my life preserver. I'm going to just lull here in the sunshine and work on my backstroke. I'm an excellent swimmer. Someone will be along shortly. You have it. The boat's going down in the middle of the fucking winter, in the middle of the night, in Antarctica, right? Not a star in the sky. Visualize this with me. It works, I swear. Close your eyes. And it's freezing water. And you all know that if you're gonna kill yourself, you hop into the warm water, slit it up, off you go. But in the cold water, people in the medical profession can ascribe to this, your heart slows down, it's harder to bleed out. So this is icy water, and I feel a tug on my foot, right? And it's like, holy shit. He don't bite the foot off, but there's blood in the water. And now what happens? Excellent. I'm a teacher, very good. Good. So now I'm getting yanked and tugged and pulled, and I can't die because it's icy shark infested water. So when people go, oh my God, Sam's your sponsor? Oh my God, what a Nazi. What a big book thumper. Like I'm supposed to be thumping some other book. I don't even get that. And then, you know, and I just say to them, icy shark infested waters. Because that's how it is for me. Icy shark infested waters, you know. I'm gonna leave the details up to God to the best of my ability, you know. And I'm telling you right now, man, if it were not for people like you and rooms like this, I would have missed it all. Thank you for my life.
Yeah. Can I get some of that? You fucking rock.
We hope you've enjoyed this recording. To obtain additional copies, receive a free catalog of AA and Al-Anon talks, or to find out about our tape and CD of the Month Club, call Encore Audio Archives at 1-800-878-1308 or visit our website at www.12steptapes.com.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with, and it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs, long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down. And then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right, but I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.